You are listening to the Novel Writing Podcast, episode 211. I'm your host, Colleen Mitchell. Grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. A common question I get from new authors is, what is the best way to research a story without getting sucked into rabbit holes? Another way to ask this is, how do I research my story without getting lost in the weeds, without spending valuable time on details that don't matter, so I actually find what I'm looking for, and not disappear into a rabbit hole that consumes hours of time I meant to spend writing? First, let's answer the question of what are the best ways to research for a story. Say it with me. It's going to depend on your genre. For instance, if you're writing historical fiction or hard sci-fi, the depth and scope of your research is going to matter a lot more than if you're writing literary, contemporary, or some types of speculative fiction like fantasy. A romance novel doesn't need hundreds of hours of research, but it's easy to get sucked into those rabbit holes. Research can take many forms. Think internet searches, YouTube videos, interviews whether in person or online or via email, reference books, trips to the setting in your book, and even AI like ChatGPT. We've all seen how a simple Google search will now give an AI summary at the top. We can't escape it. I will admit that I have research chats open with ChatGPT for my villain backstory, the Witch Queen of Camelot, but it's not as simple as using the first answer it gives. With AI, you do need to do some back and forth, ask it for its sources, etc. In essence, be smart about using it. Treat it the same as you would treat Wikipedia when writing an essay for English class. Wikipedia itself cannot be the source, but you can use the sources that Wikipedia cites. And, for the love of well-written books everywhere, please do not copy and paste whatever answer you get directly into your manuscript. It's also important to remember that AI can and often does get answers wrong. That's why it's important to fact-check and verify. The primary reason to use AI for research nowadays is how fast it is versus combing the actual Google search results, which are no longer ranked very well. It's much harder to find a niche blog in the search results now than it was in 2022, but if AI sources it, it's much easier to find. That being said, how you organize and maintain your research varies from writer to writer, but the basic premise is that it should be easy to access and it should be easy to find the thing you're looking for. For example, thriller author M.L. Buckman maintains a master document of types of aircraft and all their pertinent details, so when he writes a book with a specific type of plane in it, all he has to do is go to his list and find the right entry for all the information he needs, rather than start a new research session and risk a rabbit hole. Let's say you have your genre, your research methods, and a way to capture and organize the results. Once you get into a session or realize you need to do more research after you've started drafting, how do you avoid the rabbit hole and lose writing time? Number one, have a goal. What is the thing you want to find? Is that thing actually relevant to the plot? Does it provide a specific detail that will make the story hit better for readers? Going into a research session without a goal is the primary reason writers get sucked into the rabbit hole and keep clicking on the next YouTube video until you find yourself watching or reading something that has nothing to do with the purpose of the research for the story. Number two, keep the research sessions separate from any writing sessions. If you realize while writing that something deserves more research, leave comments for yourself and address them later during edits or rewrites. I do this in Scrivener. For example, with Witch Queen, I'll leave comments to go research types of wood, types of stone, etc. that were present in southeast Scotland during the 5th century. It's very specific, I know. But having those comment tags is an essential part of my rewriting and editing process, and it doesn't take away from the writing session or capturing the intent of the paragraph and scene. Number three, set timers. If you don't find what you're looking for in the time allotted, reevaluate if you A, really need that detail for the scene, and B, if you can narrow your focus during the next research session. Number four, you are not writing an article for a peer-reviewed journal. You're writing fiction. The details don't need to be 100% perfect or accurate. They need to be good enough and show that you did your research. If the details are for something that's more background and like the cupcake sprinkles rather than the cupcake itself, don't spend a lot of time on it. But if the detail is for something that's core to the plot or the mechanics of the story, yes, spend more time on it. That being said, details matter, even little ones. The example Haley uses in day 12 of the 60-day novel writing challenge is from the Twilight books, where Stephanie Meyer did not research what a male elk is called and ended up calling it a buck instead of a bull. That incorrect detail made it through all of her editors, and it still bothers Haley today. All Meyer needed to do was verify that she was using the right word, but she didn't. My personal pet peeve as a reader is authors using incorrect terminology for firearms and firearm use. If any of that is wrong, I instantly lose trust in the author, especially in a book where firearm research is essential, like murder mysteries. In any case, what if you do all these things? You have a separate research session, a goal in mind, you set a timer, and you're intent on finding the good enough information rather than the perfect answer? You do all that, but what if you still end up down the rabbit hole and surface hours later feeling frustrated with yourself? It's simple. Give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up. Sometimes we just lose track of time and we focus on the thing in front of us, which is called deep work, and that's a good thing, even if that thing happens to be the rabbit hole. So if that's the case, pick yourself up and move on. Dwelling on it doesn't write the book any faster. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining me, and remember, the first draft is supposed to be garbage. The Novel Writing Podcast is a production of Colleen Mitchell Writes. For more writing resources, including Curios, Tally Inc. author services, and the 60-day novel writing challenge, check out the links in the description.